Hey guys, Fred and Sheila McCoy, Hatfield McCoy Museum, FredMcCoy.com. Sheila's behind the camera.
Hi guys, hope you're having a great day.
Hopefully this ain't very long, but it might be. I made some notes here. Well, some of it I copied right off, but starting off it says, was Devil Anse Hatfield a captain during the Civil War? I'm still researching that old history story. Here is a useful update. That's what this person wrote. Here's a useful update. All these years, but all of a sudden, here's an update. Some say that Devil Anse Hatfield couldn't have been a captain during the war because he was illiterate. Here's an 1854 deed, later retyped by the clerk from the original handwritten deed, both of which are on file in the Logan County Courthouse from Barney Carter of Harts Creek in Logan County, Virginia. Now, West Virginia. Now, they've got a typewritten deed there, and down there they got mark. They got an X and where it says mark, like they've marked it. That would be my first thing as an investigator, Sheila and I. You say here that it's in the clerk's office. This is in the clerk's office where it was retyped from the original. And they posted this one, but they didn't post the original. If here in an 1854 deed, later retyped by a clerk from the original handwritten deed, both which are on file at the Logan County Courthouse from Barney Carter. Why would they post one? Why would they post the typewritten one? First of all, why would they retype it? Why would they retype it being a clerk's file? That's new to Sheila and I. I think in all the years that we've been researching, we've never found something in a file that was retyped. We found many that we couldn't read, and we're thinking, who in the world scratched these notes out? But we've never found one where it was retyped, and then the original's there also. Then our question would be, and I won't beat a dead horse, you get the message. Why didn't we put the original so we could see the original X and so forth like that? That's the first question. Notice Carter signed with an X, meaning that he could not write. A few years later, the illiterate Barney Carter was captain of Carter's company in the 129th Militia. Not all Confederate captains in Logan County were illiterate, folks. That's what this gentleman writes. He says that a few years later, that Barney Carter was a captain in the Confederate Army. A few years later. This is 1854. Civil War 1861 to 65. Could a man actually learn to read and write? They said Cap Hatfield become a lawyer. So, why is it's possible for Cap Hatfield to learn to read and write in a couple of years and become a lawyer, but it's not possible for this Barney Carter to become literate, or at least read and write. Guys, listen, when I hear illiterate, you're thinking unintelligent, not smart. Reading and writing is just part of it. Just because a person can't read and write didn't mean they didn't have common sense or knowledge enough to survive. There's some smart people.
Street smarts today. Yeah.
Country smarts. Call it whatever you want. I've never said Devil Anse was a stupid man. He's a criminal. He's a coward. He's a bushwhacker. He's all these things. I've never said he was stupid. He couldn't read and write though. But so if you want to call that illiterate in reading and writing, he was. But stupid or dumb, by no means. By no means was he. But back then, and according to any Civil War, and over the years, Sheila and I have met many smart, intelligent researchers of the Civil War. And not a one has ever strayed away from what the history of a captain. This is not a lieutenant. This is not a sergeant, a corporal. This is a captain. A captain in the Civil War had to be able to read and write. They had to be able to read maps, logistics, orders of attacks, transfer of the men, and the list goes on and on, where the captain would have needed to be able to read and write. 1854, how about 9 years to 1864? That would have been 9 years later, 10 years later. And again, a man could have learned to read and write during that time. But now let's go back to some discrepancies here. Besides not putting the handwritten deed in here, let's go to this. It says, notice that he signed with an X. Well, that paper there, we've got a board in here somewhere. I don't know. It's got very few hits on one of the videos that we done. I think it's even in a short, just a small video. But it's showing how you can order papers, or how you can take papers and make them look older than they are. Once again, a Hatfield friend of mine one time told me that he was talking to another guy that had a museum, and he was telling him how he put papers in the oven and let them get almost to catch on fire to make them look old and burnt. So don't tell me, and that's what's made Sheila and I leery over the years of different people and different things that's come along. But this paper could have been written last week. We don't know that. We don't know that. Now let's go to where it says that a few years later, the illiterate Barney Carter was captain of Carter's company, 129th Virginia Militia. Here's what he posted on there, and she'll post them all here after a while. But look right up here where it says Carter's company, 129th. Now, is that somebody that's found this Civil War record, and they wrote on there Carter's? They wanted to refer back to something for their notes, and they wrote that because, see, this is a copy. This is not the original. This is a copy. So we can't tell if that's two different types of pencil, two different types of ink, two different types of whatever. We can't tell. The R's, look at it there. Stop your camera and look at it. The R's, different things are facing, one of them faces north, the other one facing south. So it don't look, I'm not a handwriting expert, so I won't go into that part. Maybe somebody out there is smarter than me on that. I don't know. This very well could be this guy's Civil War record, and it very well could be correct. And maybe that same person wrote that on there, Carter's 129th Militia. Now, let's show you something here. Sheila, like I said, Sheila's as good a researcher as anybody is out there. But, you know, down here, they're saying that was called Carter's Company. And he writes in here that he was Carter's Company. It was his own company. Well, down here it says that it was actually Wiltshire's Battalion of Virginia. And that goes up here to go to the 29th. And she'll post all this for you. So here's Barney Carter's name. Mm-hmm. Now, don't forget, there was also at least two others, Barney Carters during that time. And so don't forget about that. Again, when you see these stories, just because it says something, just a brief search found two other Barney Carters. How do we know which one this was? You can't just pick out a name or a phrase and say it's that person. How about McCoy pottery? I wrote this the other day. How McCoy pottery? I guess Fred McCoy invented McCoy pottery. You can't do that just because the name's there, because you find a Barney Carter that was in the 129th Militia doesn't mean it's one and the same. And I'm not going to harp on that right there. She can take pictures of those documents for you.
Okay.
right there. You can go ahead and do that. And why did they try to justify, him deserting? No other soldiers left home at the time. This is other questions that was on there talking about Devil Ant's been a deserter. And they always say, well, he returned home. He went home to take care of his family. No other soldiers left their part in the war to go home and check on their families and left the other man by themselves. After Devil's Backbone, it's laughable. When Devil's Backbone exactly written into history, we're talking here about, this is just notes, where they were talking about going up and they're going to try to metal detect Devil's Backbone and see if they can find bullets where he actually stood up there and stood his ground. Before there was, he had already deserted. Now it says that Devil Ant's deserted after Devil's Backbone. After Devil's Backbone, he returned home to check on his family. After Devil's Backbone's right there where he lived. That's right there in that area. Went home to check on his family. Devil's Backbone is home. It's unbelievable. But anyway, it goes on and deserter, but no evidence. This was good here because this person, and they sent me this, they asked, they said, we've never found no evidence where he had leave or something. Said, we found where he was a deserter. And the person comes back and says, he abandoned the war to come home and protect the community with the Logan Wildcats. Guys, Devil Ant's Hatfield went home to become the desperados that they're acting like he went home to protect his family from. He went home, and him and those that deserted with him became bushwhackers. They became thieves. They became, they stole everything they wanted from anybody else. They didn't take it back and give it to the guys in a company that needed food. They took it home to their families, other people's livestock. What was he protecting them from? I'm not going to go into all this, although history's turned around. This is just one more part. And it may bore some people to death, some of these things that we go over now, and we go over them because people send them to us. Right. And they'll say, did you and Sheila see this? Or if they send it to Sheila's phone or email, they'll say, did you and Fred see this?
Yeah.
And when we look at it, if it's important enough for them to send it to us, or they're questioning, rather than getting on there and talking back to them or calling them, we just do a video. That way, if you ever been in a class and they say anybody's got a question, go ahead and ask it, because somebody else is probably thinking it. And that's probably the way this is, or that's the way Sheila and I look at it. If one person sends us the emails or the text messages, then maybe somebody else saw it and was wondering too what we thought about it. And we'll give you our thoughts, we'll give you our opinions, we'll give you stuff here to go on. And if y'all don't think it's fishy that the written document is supposed to be at the courthouse, but yet we copied this one. We were right there at the courthouse, and we copied the one typed out, but this old paper, this old court document, we didn't find it was important enough, the original, that we should have to copy it. We'll copy this one. We don't agree. We think it smells funny. Don't pass the smell test. Guys, Fred and Sheila McCoy.
Hey guys, I hope you're having a great morning. Please like, subscribe, and share. And we'll catch you on the next one. Bye.
Thank you.